Brad, when you're looking at the end of that Florida series, why do you think the team struggled to break through offensively? What were you seeing in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, why? It's tight checking, right? Like there's not a lot of goals. It's another area too, right? It's easy to look back. I mean, the easy answer is we need more participants, right? But if you look at playoff hockey, like it happens every year, right? Like look at Dallas right now, right? Like Dallas is rolling along and now, trying to find goals. Like I said, you have to give credit to our opponent, and it's a tough opponent. We had to find ways to get on a more consistent basis inside. There's not a lot of, and if you look at that too, Game 7 is a good example. What do we have, 2 or 3 breakaways? Yeah. Right? We had some opportunities. In those games, you're not going to get a lot. You got to find a way to make sure you capitalize on the ones you do get. So to me, we had to find a way to get a little more inside on a more regular basis. And then the times that we did have those opportunities, we got to cash.
When you say it's been emotional with Mitch, like what's that emotion? What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't speak, and again, what I meant by that wasn't necessarily Mitch. It's been emotional at the end of the season, right? So the way it goes is we end the season, you're miserable. You're miserable, and then 2 days later we all get together and you do exit meetings, and it's emotional, right? Like it's emotional. Like I told you, this one's going to stay for a while. So I wasn't speaking directly, Chris, about Mitch.
Right.
It's emotion that you got to kind of let that die, right? You got to let that die down. You got to get composed. You got to kind of think clearly and then start, going through that process. So when I said about emotional, and somebody mentioned about the people getting offered contract, I didn't mean no. Like it's just you got to let everything die, right? You got to let the emotions subside, and then you start to move forward.
But you talk about the emotion of the hockey part.
Mm-hmm.
There's the emotion of the personal part too.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who hires you, brings you in here, gives you the job. All of a sudden, you've lost in the playoffs, and he's now gone, and your life has changed for whatever way it's changed. That's a lot for a person to handle.
Yeah. And that's another part. Like that. It was the last week has been a lot of stuff, right? Like
right.
Number one, we lose, and you're going through it, and then Brendan's stuff comes up. My wife gives me the price of the grad dress that we bought. Like there's a lot of emotion, and so you're dealing with a lot of stuff, right? And so I think all of you would recognize you don't make decisions. Like you can make a lot of decisions when you're emotional, but a week later you may want to redo. And so that's what I was speaking about.
Hey, Brian, on Nyes, do you prefer, I would assume, long-term? Are you okay with a bridge, or how do you see that?
We'll see. Like it all, I think we'll see. They're like I said, there's two parties here. So I think Matthews, like I said, I think he's going to continue to, he's still just scratching the surface. So we got to see what fits for us, what fits for them. But I see him as a long-term player here. We got to see. And that, Terry, not trying to be elusive. You'd always like to sign them all for the longest and as lowest as you can, and then you get disappointed from that day forward. But
he's not going to be the minimum.
Yeah, listen. He's a hell of a player, and we're working on it.
Is he now an Olympic candidate?
I mean, I'm biased. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the roster, but it's interesting. I think yeah. There's probably guys on that Four Nations team last year, right? We had February. Mm-hmm. That last summer, you might have said, I don't know if they're on the Four Nations. Got a long time till the Olympics. When are we? February. So you've got probably 50 games, right, or whatever we play. He's got to be putting himself on the map a little bit. No.
How did you assess Rielly's season? Why do you think it maybe didn't go as smoothly for him this year?
I break Morgan's season a little bit more into two parts. I think the second half was better than this first half. I think there was an adjustment period for him. I think there was a focus more on defensively, trying to be harder, and I think he lost a little bit of his. I think he just lost that. You still got to get up and do what you do offensively. I thought that came back more in the second half of the season. I thought after the deadline, I thought there was a real good chemistry. I thought he, not making excuses for him, I thought if you look back, he bounced around a little bit with partners until Brando got here. I thought they had good chemistry. Like all of us, there's still more there. And but I thought those things contributed. I thought he was back to a little bit more Morgan getting up the ice, getting more involved in the second half than he was in the first half.
Brad, when you take a look at the depth players, especially towards the end of the year, in and out of the lineup with Nick and Pontus, even Callie, what was your takeaway from what they brought to their team and the future they have?
The future we see, we'll see, right? All do a little bit of different things. I like them. We'll see, right? Pontus, sort of bounced around. We got to determine, is he a center, is he a winger? What's that contract look like? I like the kid. He's got some heaviness. I mean, he's not. He doesn't get pushed out of heavy games in the playoffs. Callie when did Callie start playing? The last 6 weeks of the season, maybe, or something like that. It was a tough year for him. He was out all the year, so it's a hard one to really evaluate. Yarny's a smart player. He's healthy, and then Robbie. Robbie. I give Robbie a lot of credit. Like he gets stretches. He can shoot the puck. His challenge is becoming a regular. You can always debate that. Is it opportunity and then it comes, or do it more regular and get more opportunity? So that's so those are all three guys. Those are all three guys we've got to kind of determine. Like all three players, where do we going forward? Again, not to be elusive. I don't know. We're early yet.
How much will you prioritize upgrading in center?
Yeah, it's funny, right? And I know the talk word out there, and center and right D, right? Like those are the hard positions to find, and that's, I think you win through the spine of your team that way. But we'd always heard, okay, there was talk, okay, we got to get a second line center. Well, the guy who was playing it, I think he had 38 goals. Like, it's pretty, like, to go find somebody that scored more than that was hard. Centers it's a priority, right? It's a priority. Having said that, there's probably 26 other teams that are saying it's a priority. So I think that's an area. I thought John, like I said, I'm a big fan of John. Had a hell of a year. So we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, you'd always like more centers. I like to have 6 centers. The guys that are playing on the wings, that you can always push a guy to the wing. It's hard to move to the middle. So we'll see how it goes.
One more here, guys.
When Keith spoke the other day, he talked
Sorry?
about Keith. When
Okay.
Keith spoke the other day, he talked a little bit about Berube being more involved in decisions and the day-to-day stuff. I'm curious, have you had a chance to talk to him about that, and if so, like, what could that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything changes, right? Like the way I operate, and this is where, Keith and I have a chance to kind of go through things. Craig, and the way I've done it with all coaches, I don't go down there one day and say, oh yeah, by the way, Chief, I just brought 2 new players and you're going to like them, Bob and Fred, they're right behind you. So we talk all the time, right? We talk all the time. And similar to Craig doesn't, show up one day and say, by the way, I'm playing Tanny at center. We talk all the time, and I think you have to as a coach. So he's always involved. Like, I get his opinions. We talk. We live in the same. Well, we have dinner 5 nights a week. It's a very close relationship. So there's always discussion. He's involved. At the end of the day, right? The manager manager manages, coach is coach, but I believe, maybe other people do it differently. You have to have a close relationship with your coach. You have to get his input. You have to know what he likes, right? So that'll continue. But I don't see there's a whole lot of different change. He's got his responsibilities at the end of the day that he's responsible for. I got my responsibilities, but I look at it, it's a partnership. We're partners, and that's the way it works best.